All right. Ready to dive deep into a world that's part music, part history, part serious woodworking skill.
We're talking harpsichord making.
Yeah. We've got the RoleCatcher guides right here, all about this super unique career path.
That's right.
And our goal today, to help you not just understand what this job is all about,
Yeah.
but to really ace that interview using actual questions from RoleCatcher's database.
It's a niche field,
Oh, yeah.
but with the right prep, you can totally stand out.
Absolutely. And just to paint a picture for everyone,
Sure.
we're talking about crafting these beautiful, historically significant keyboard instruments, right?
Yeah.
It's not just like you're a carpenter. You're bringing musical history to life.
That's a great way to put it.
So let's jump right in to some of those interview questions that you might come across.
Okay.
RoleCatcher's guide kicks off with a pretty basic one. Describe your experience with harpsichord making.
Mm-hmm.
Seems straightforward enough, but I'm guessing there's more to it than just listing off, like, what you've built or whatever.
Oh, for sure. It's got to be more than just, I did this and I did that.
Right.
They want to hear that passion.
Yeah.
Your journey, like what sparked that interest in this craft?
Okay, so think storytelling,
Yes.
not just like resume bullet points.
Exactly.
So instead of, I built 3 harpsichords,
Right.
it's more like, my fascination with the harpsichord started when, and then share, a captivating little anecdote.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you restored a historical instrument,
Oh, cool.
built one completely from scratch.
Wow.
Or even, meticulously researched different designs,
Right.
even if you're more entry level.
Yeah.
You really want to emphasize that enthusiasm and that willingness to learn. That speaks volumes.
It shows that you're not just there for a paycheck. You're there because you're genuinely fascinated by this.
Absolutely.
So what kind of follow-up questions could come from something like that?
They might dig a little deeper into those specific projects.
Okay.
Ask you about challenges that you faced or unique techniques that you used.
Oh, I see.
So be ready to kind of expand on those stories.
Got it.
Highlight how you problem solve and your ability to adapt.
Okay, so have a few detailed anecdotes kind of ready to go in your back pocket.
Yes, exactly.
And this is where something like RoleCatcher's AI can be super helpful, right? It can actually help you practice those narratives and make sure you're hitting all the right points.
Yeah. It's a fantastic tool for that because it'll analyze what you're saying, suggest areas where you could improve.
Oh, cool.
Even helps you tailor it to the specific job you're going for.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Right.
Okay, next question from RoleCatcher. How do you ensure the quality of the harpsichords that you make? So this feels like they're digging a little deeper here.
Definitely.
You can't just be like, I make sure it sounds good.
Right. This is where all that meticulous attention to detail comes in.
Okay.
You really want to walk them through your process.
Got it.
From inspecting each component to that rigorous tuning process. Oh, sure. Emphasize those high standards that you have and the specific steps you take to get them.
Okay, so I might talk about using, certain tools that I like for quality control.
Yeah.
Or special techniques that I've picked up for achieving a specific sound or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to get a little technical here, show off what you know about the materials, the construction methods, how all of that plays into the overall quality of the instrument.
This is where having that hands-on experience from like apprenticeship or internship really shines, I bet.
100%. And even if you're early in your career, you want to show that you have a deep understanding of those quality standards.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, this next question from RoleCatcher is interesting to me. Can you explain the difference between a harpsichord and a piano?
Okay.
I mean, I know they're both keyboard instruments.
Right.
But I'm not sure I could really articulate the, specifics.
So this is your chance to, shine as a musical expert.
Oh. The key is to really explain the differences in how the sound is made.
Gotcha.
And do it clearly and concisely.
Okay.
A harpsichord, it uses quills to pluck the strings.
Oh, right.
Whereas a piano, you've got hammers striking them.
Huh. Interesting.
So you get those totally distinct sounds.
So it's not just about what they look like.
Right.
It's about the mechanics of, how that sound is actually produced.
Exactly.
Fascinating.
And you can even expand on that by discussing the history, how each instrument evolved.
Oh, cool.
Different schools of harpsichord making, that kind of thing.
Wow. Okay. I'm starting to see how much depth there is to answering some of these seemingly simple questions.
Yeah, it's about showing that well-rounded knowledge of the craft.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, this next one gets into the design side of things.
Yeah.
How do you approach designing a harpsichord?
Okay.
Are we talking about, personal aesthetic preferences here, or is it more technical?
It's a mix, honestly.
Okay.
You want to show off your creativity and how you problem solve.
But also, all that historical knowledge you've got.
Gotcha.
Talk about your process, researching different periods, understanding what the client wants, if it's a custom build, thinking about things like the acoustics, how it plays, all of that.
So I might say something like, I start by really immersing myself in the historical context of whatever style we're going for.
Yeah.
And then I talk about how I bring those elements into an instrument that's both beautiful and actually works.
Exactly. And point out any unique design stuff you've done in past projects.
Got it.
Remember, you're not just building something, you're creating a piece of art.
I love that. I'm starting to see how this career brings together so many different skills and passions. It's really fascinating.
Oh, it truly is.
And don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI can help fine-tune those answers.
That's right.
Make sure they're thorough and that they really fit the specific job you're after.
It takes a lot of the pressure off.
Yeah.
Lets you focus on showing that passion and what you know.
All right, on to a question that sounds a little more challenging, I guess. Can you give an example of a challenging harpsichord repair that you have completed? I'm sensing they want to see some serious problem-solving skills here.
Definitely. This is where you get to show off as the technical expert.
Okay.
Pick a repair that shows you can diagnose a tough problem, research solutions.
Yeah.
Maybe even come up with some innovative approaches.
Got it. So not just like replacing a broken string,
Right.
but something that really took like in-depth knowledge and thinking outside the box.
Exactly.
Wow.
Maybe a structural issue with the soundboard,
Oh, okay.
a super complex restoration, or even taking a historical design and making it work for like a modern player's preferences.
Now that's impressive. What kind of follow-ups could come after something like that?
They might get into the nitty-gritty of what techniques you use, the tools,
Okay.
ask you to compare different ways of doing the repair.
I see.
So be ready to show just how much you know.
It sounds like having that solid base in like the history and the mechanics of the harpsichord is super crucial for that kind of repair work.
Absolutely. It's where that theoretical knowledge meets practical experience, and that's where you really shine.
Speaking of practical experience, RoleCatcher's Career Guide really stresses apprenticeships and internships.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not just about what you know in your head, it's about how you learned it and how you actually use that knowledge in real-life situations.
It's invaluable. You learn those traditional techniques, build connections, and get that hands-on experience that you can talk about directly in your interview.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, this next question from RoleCatcher's Guide, I wouldn't have even thought to ask it. How do you stay up to date with new developments in harpsichord making?
It's a really good question, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I never even crossed my mind.
Shows you're committed to always learning, that you want to stay at the forefront of your craft.
Right, because even though it's a historical instrument, there are still new techniques and innovations coming out.
All the time.
That's fascinating. So how would you suggest someone approach this question?
Think about the resources you use to stay in the loop.
Okay.
Professional groups you're part of.
Yeah.
Publications you read, conferences.
Gotcha.
Even online forums where you chat with other makers.
So show them you're not just coasting on what you learned years ago.
Right.
You're actively seeking out that new knowledge and bringing it into your work.
Exactly.
Maybe even mention specific projects or experiments that you've done to try out, like new materials or different tuning systems.
Exactly. Perfect.
I'm getting a whole new appreciation for the dedication and constant learning that goes into being a harpsichord maker.
It's a field that rewards you for always wanting to learn more and improve those skills.
For sure. Okay, time for a question that gets a bit technical. Can you describe your approach to tuning a harpsichord?
All right.
I'm guessing it's more involved than just, like, twisting a few pegs.
You're right. It's a really delicate process. You need a deep understanding of how the instrument works and meticulous attention to detail.
Like, what are some key points to touch on when answering this one?
Start by explaining the different temperament systems that are used, like Werkmeister or Kernberger.
Right.
Then, walk them through it step by step, how you assess the temperament, adjust the strings, fine-tune each note.
So there's technical skill, sure, but also like a musical ear.
Yes.
And you've got to know about historical tuning practices.
Absolutely.
It's almost an art form in itself.
It really is. And showing that you understand this process deeply, shows the interviewer your expertise.
Before we go on to more questions, I want to touch on something RoleCatcher's AI is amazing for. Tailoring your answers to different job roles.
Oh, yeah.
I know myself, it can feel overwhelming to, like, tweak your resume and cover letter for every application.
RoleCatcher takes out the guesswork, though.
Oh,
It
nice.
looks at those job descriptions, picks out the key skills, the keywords they're using,
Right.
and suggests how to weave those into your answers.
Oh, that's so smart.
So you've got a much better shot at standing out.
That's super helpful, especially for a niche field like this, where you want to make sure your specific skills are front and center.
It really takes the pressure off so you can just focus on showing your passion and what you can do.
Okay, let's get back to those interview questions. RoleCatcher's Guide has one about working with clients. How do you approach working with clients to design a custom harpsichord?
Right.
I'm picturing myself as like a musical architect here, blending technical skill with artistic vision.
That's a great way to think about it.
Right.
It's all about communication and teamwork.
Mm-hmm.
Describe how you gather information,
Yeah,
present design choices, take in feedback,
got it.
and make sure that final product is what they wanted while still staying true to, the historical principles.
So I might say something like, I start by having a really in-depth conversation with the client to get a sense of their musical needs, their aesthetic preferences, and, if there are any particular historical styles they're drawn to.
Exactly. You're showing that you can translate their vision into an actual design
Yeah.
while also educating them on, like, what's possible and what's not, technically speaking, with the instrument.
Right.
Right.
What kind of challenges might you face doing that?
You might get some demanding requests,
Oh, for sure.
maybe clashing artistic visions,
Yeah, I can see that.
or even budget limits.
Oh, right. Of course.
So be ready to talk about how you handle those situations diplomatically,
Gotcha.
finding creative solutions that keep both the client happy and the integrity of the instrument intact.
So it's about showing my problem-solving skills
Mm-hmm.
and that I can build strong relationships with clients.
Absolutely. And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can help you polish that answer.
Right.
Make sure you're highlighting those people skills, which are so important.
Okay, we've covered a lot already, but RoleCatcher's Guide has even more insightful questions to go over.
Let's take a breath and then we'll dive back in.
Sounds good.
Okay, so picking up where we left off, let's think about those tricky client situations.
Right, like when they have a really specific vision for their instrument.
Managing expectations and finding that balance, between what they want and what's actually doable, that can be tough.
Oh, yeah. RoleCatcher has a question that gets right at this. Can you tell me about a time you had to deal with a difficult client or a challenging design request?
It's a classic.
I'm already kind of intimidated by this one.
But it's common, and it's there to see how you handle problems, how you deal with conflict, but professionally, of course.
Okay.
So pick an example that shows you can be diplomatic, that you communicate well, and that you can get creative to find solutions.
So maybe a time when a client wanted, I don't know, a historical detail that wouldn't actually work structurally,
Yeah,
or something that would make the instrument hard to play.
exactly. And walk them through how you dealt with it. Did you explain the technical issues clearly, respectfully?
Yeah.
Did you come up with other options that made both the client and the instrument happy?
Right. It's about finding that sweet spot
Yes.
where everyone feels heard and the final product is something we can all be proud of.
And focus on the positive outcome.
Okay.
Did you end up with a good relationship with the client?
Yeah.
What did you learn from it?
So even tough situations can be framed as like learning experiences to show how you've grown professionally.
Exactly. Now, let's shift gears to something everyone gets nervous about. What are your salary expectations?
I hate this question.
That's a tricky one.
You don't want to lowball yourself, but you also don't want to scare them off.
Research is key here.
Okay.
Look into what's typical for harpsichord makers at your level, with your skills.
So don't just throw out a random number.
No, have a range in mind and be ready to explain why you're asking for that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like, if you have special skills
Yeah.
or experience that makes you worth more. Don't be shy about pointing those out.
So, for example, if I've, mastered some super rare historical construction method, or I've restored really valuable instruments.
Exactly.
Got it.
And remember, it's a back and forth. Be open to talking about the whole package, not just the number benefits, growth potential, all of that.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better about it. Now, for a question that's more, I guess, personal, why did you choose to become a harpsichord maker?
Ah, this is where your heart comes in.
Yeah.
It's your story. What brought you to this unique path?
Should I talk about my love of music, history, woodworking, all of it?
Find the balance, connect those passions to what you can do, what you've experienced.
Okay.
Maybe a specific performance blew you away.
Yeah, I can see that.
Or you were mesmerized by the details of a harpsichord in a museum.
Right?
Maybe you just loved the sound and had to know how it worked.
It's about those moments that sparked it all.
Yes. And personal stories make your answer memorable. Be ready for follow-ups to your influences, favorite historical periods, how that passion comes out in your work.
Speaking of historical periods, RoleCatcher has this question. What are some current trends in harpsichord making?
Good one.
I wouldn't think of this as like a rapidly changing field, but I guess there's always something new happening.
Even with a historical instrument, people are exploring new materials, tuning systems, how to build them.
Wow.
Do your research. Are there makers pushing boundaries? New takes on historical accuracy.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I might mention modern materials that make the instrument more stable, or talk about how makers are incorporating elements from other early keyboard instruments.
Perfect. Show them you're not stuck in the past, that you're
Oh.
interested in how the craft is evolving.
It's about respecting tradition, but also contributing to its future.
Well said.
Yeah.
Now let's think about you. How would you describe your work style?
Are they looking for specific words here, or just getting a feel for my personality?
A bit of both. Choose qualities that fit the job description and the company, but be true to yourself.
Right.
Are you super detail-oriented, a team player,
Yeah.
more independent,
Gotcha.
and give examples?
Like if I say I'm organized, I might talk about how I keep super detailed records of my building process, or make really thorough plans for each project.
Exactly. And be ready for them to ask, okay, how has that helped you before? Or how do you adapt to different work situations?
It's all about painting that picture of yourself as a skilled, well-rounded craftsperson.
Now, brace yourself. Here comes the one everyone dreads. What are your weaknesses?
Ugh, I knew it was coming, and I still don't know how to answer it.
Honesty, but be smart about it.
Okay,
Pick something that's actually a strength in disguise or something you're actively working on.
so not just I'm a perfectionist, which everyone says,
Yay.
maybe more like I can get so focused on the details that I lose track of the bigger picture, but I'm using project management tools to get better with time and be more efficient overall.
Perfect. You turned it into a positive, and you're showing that you're always improving.
It's like you're self-aware, but also dedicated to getting better.
They might ask for specific examples of how this played out before and how you're tracking your progress, so be ready.
Okay, I feel a lot better equipped to handle that one now. What about long-term goals?
That's coming up. What are your career goals?
So they're not just interested in filling this one position. They want to see that you're ambitious, that you have a plan.
Exactly. Do you want to be known as the master craftsman?
Wow, that'd be amazing.
Open your own workshop,
Oh,
mentor others, specialize in a certain style or period,
I see. Be specific and tie those goals to my skills and experience.
and mention anything you're doing to get there. Training, research, networking.
It's making me think about all the possibilities within this field.
There are so many. It's a field that lets you grow and explore. Now let's talk about pressure. Can you tell me about a time you had to work under pressure?
Another classic interview question.
They want to see that you can stay cool and deliver, even when things are crazy.
Okay.
Pick an example, ideally related to harpsichord making or something similar.
Hmm?
Describe the situation, the pressure, what you did, and the positive outcome.
So maybe time I had to finish a difficult repair super fast,
Mhm.
or had to adapt to last-minute design changes while still keeping it historically accurate.
Exactly. Show off your problem solving, how you prioritize, and your dedication to deadlines without sacrificing quality.
And that I don't completely freak out.
Right. They want to see resilience, a positive attitude.
Got it. Okay, now for a question where I got to do my homework.
Hmm.
Why are you interested in working for our company specifically?
This is where that research pays off.
Yeah.
Don't just say, you guys are great. Right. I need to dig deeper. Exactly. What about them resonates with you?
Okay.
Their reputation for restorations,
Uh-huh.
specialization in a certain style,
Yeah.
their innovative designs,
Right.
their commitment to traditional methods.
So I could say something like, I've been following your work, and I'm really impressed by your dedication to, I don't know, preserving 18th century Flemish harpsichords.
Perfect. And connect it to your own skills and experience.
Mhm.
Any connections you have there or past experiences that made you want to work for them specifically.
So it's about showing I'm not just applying randomly. I'm genuinely interested in what they do.
Now, for the question that often comes at the end, and it's your chance to shine, do you have any questions for us?
Ooh, I never know what to ask.
It shows them you're curious, engaged, truly interested.
Right.
So what kind of questions? Not about salary and benefits yet.
Right.
Ask about the work, the culture, growth opportunities.
Like the projects I'd work on, team structure, their future plans.
Exactly. You could ask about mentorship, training programs,
Oh, good one.
even their approach to historical accuracy or how they're involved in the harpsichord community.
It's about showing I'm not just looking for a job, but a place to learn and grow.
Asking thoughtful questions leaves a good impression, shows initiative.
This has been so helpful. I feel way more prepared to handle those questions now.
And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can help you practice, get feedback, and tailor your answers to specific jobs.
It's like having a personal interview coach.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about the different stages of a harpsichord making career, how to position yourself as you move up.
Sounds great. I'm ready to hear more about that.
Ah,
All right, we've tackled those interview questions, and I feel a lot more confident about that whole process.
good.
But what about once you get the job?
Right?
RoleCatcher's Guide breaks down the different career stages in harpsichord making, which I find super helpful. It's like a roadmap for your career path.
It's good to understand how things change over time, what new skills you'll need, and what opportunities are out there.
So let's walk through those stages. What's the typical progression from entry level all the way up to senior harpsichord maker?
At the entry level, it's all about absorbing everything and really honing your craft.
Yeah.
You'll be assisting the more experienced makers, mastering those fundamental woodworking techniques, learning the ins and outs of how to build a harpsichord.
So lots of hands-on experience, working with the pros, really building that foundation.
Exactly.
And then you move up to junior level.
Yeah, you start taking on more independent tasks,
Okay.
maybe leading the construction of certain parts, or even helping with some basic repairs.
So you're building confidence, showing you can use those skills you learned.
Right, you're also starting to understand those historical practices and tuning methods, working closely with the senior makers to really refine your technique.
And then I guess the top of the mountain, becoming a senior harpsichord maker. What's that like?
At that level, you're not just a master craftsman.
Yeah.
You're a leader, a mentor, and often a designer.
Wow.
You might be overseeing entire projects, training apprentices, or even working directly with clients on custom builds.
That's amazing. So you're not just building the instruments anymore. You're kind of shaping the future of the craft.
That's a great way to put it.
And client interaction becomes a really big part of it, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. At that point, it's not just about the instrument itself. It's about understanding the musician, what they need, bringing their vision to life.
You're like a musical architect.
Exactly.
So how does understanding these career stages help someone in the interview process, especially if they're just starting out?
Well, it's all about showing them where you fit in and that you have a vision for your future.
Gotcha.
A senior maker, they'll want to talk about their leadership skills, their design experience, how they can handle those big, complex projects.
Whereas someone entry level should focus on showing that eagerness to learn, their passion,
Right.
and that they're willing to put in the work to move up.
Exactly. By showing them you understand the path and that you're excited about it, you'll make a good impression.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, before we wrap things up, one more thing I want to touch on. Standing out in a niche market.
Sure.
RoleCatcher's Guide mentions that there aren't a ton of harpsichord making jobs out there.
Right. It's a specialized field.
So how do you make yourself stand out when there's not a lot of opportunity?
That's where it goes beyond just your resume.
Yeah.
You need to showcase what you can do, network strategically, really build your personal brand as a craftsman.
It's not just about being good, it's about being known.
Exactly. That's where a really well done online portfolio or a website can be huge.
Okay.
Show off those beautiful instruments you've made, highlight your unique skills, share your passion.
What kind of stuff would you include?
High quality photos of your work, for sure. But think about adding videos of the building process or even the instrument being played.
Oh, that's cool.
Share your thoughts on historical techniques, your design philosophy, your experiences as an apprentice, things like that.
It's like inviting people into your world, your workshop.
Exactly. And social media, too.
Yeah, of course.
Connect with other makers, share your work, be part of the community, get your name out there.
So be proactive, create those opportunities, showcase what makes you special.
Always be learning and growing, too. Workshops, new techniques, research, stay ahead of the game.
It's all about honing your craft, showing it off, and making those connections.
It really is.
It's so inspiring to see how passionate harpsichord makers are about keeping this art form alive.
It's truly remarkable. And remember, passion is contagious. Let it shine through in your interviews, online, and in your work.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive.
I'm glad.
I feel like I have a whole new understanding of the skill, the artistry and the dedication that goes into making these instruments. What are some key things you'd leave our listeners with today?
Preparation is everything. Research, practice those interview answers, show them how much you love this work.
Okay.
And remember, it's both art and science. Embrace the technical stuff, but don't lose that creative spark.
That's great advice. And one last thing for our listeners, check out RoleCatcher for more in-depth guidance on building your harpsichord making career. Their AI tools and resources are amazing, especially for making those application materials really stand out and practicing for your interviews.
And as you go on this journey, think about this. How would you innovate on the design of the harpsichord?
Wow, that's a good one.
How would you blend tradition with modern techniques to create something totally new?
It really captures what this craft is all about, honoring the past, but also shaping the future of the harpsichord. Now go out there, build something amazing, and let the music play.